in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This is someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CPS Current Events. I'm your host, Amanda Cisco, and today I am joined by our lovely guest, Tiffany. How are you today, Tiffany?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So Tiffany is a parent advocate, and she has made some huge accomplishments recently that I would love to talk about today. It is very relevant to all things CPS and what is going on in the politics of CPS right now. So, Tiffany, can you tell our viewers a little bit about what you do?
I advocate for parents, but my advocacy is geared towards teaching parents that they have rights.
Amazing.
And teaching them how to handle CPS and the police when they show up at their door.
Now, Tiffany, there is a video floating around out there of somebody running CPS and a bunch of police officers and even the police sergeant off of their property. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that video, how they can find it?
Sure. Well, excuse me. That's me. There were 12 police officers and a CPS worker on my property in June of 2021. I uploaded 5 of them because some of the video, they turned off their audio so you couldn't hear what they were saying, but other police officers left theirs on. So you can find it on my YouTube channel, Wicked Wise. Actually, if you watch it, you do what I do, you just might get the same results as I did. They had to leave.
Yes. I saw the video myself. That was such an incredible, actually, I've seen it a few times. Such a powerful video. I want every parent out there to watch this video, whether you have a case or not. This is information that you need to know. We need to remember the power is in the people still. They don't want you to believe that. And one thing that my supervisor, Georgette, taught me is a house that goes against itself cannot stand. So if they divide the people, we can't stand together. If they scare us, if we're terrified of the consequences of enforcing our rights, we're not going to be able to do so. We're going to be terrified, and they're going to get away with what they are continuing to do. So without further ado, tell us a little bit more about some of the things that you've been working on.
Well, here I'm in Virginia, and I have been working with a couple of organizations and lawmakers here, and I think a couple weeks ago, I don't remember the date, I got an email that said the delegate that I spoke with had gotten a bill passed that now requires CPS/foster care workers, if they remove a child, they have 15 days here in Virginia to have guardianship papers ready for whoever has a relationship with this child. It doesn't have to be family. It can be a friend, a babysitter, whatever. And if they deny them, they have to tell them and give them a good enough reason why they were denied. So with the flip to that, there was another delegate alongside of her that said CPS now is required in Virginia to look and review their barrier crimes.
Tell me, what is a barrier crime?
Okay, so CPS plays by their own rules, right?
Of course. They think they're above the law.
Right, and ain't nobody.
When we have those social workers on our show?
Girl, I would chew them up and spit them out.
I had to jump into a couple of their shows, and I was like, do you really think that your opinion is more important than the laws that run this country? And it was insane.
Anyway, and they have a federal manual that they're supposed to follow.
Right.
Well, I haven't looked at their barrier crimes because if you have a speeding ticket and they find it, you are a reckless driver and you will harm a child. Okay, that's just how it is. So I can't say quote unquote what their barrier crimes are. But according to CPS, it's anything that they don't like.
So I do know that if these workers, and I think looking into their federal regulations for their organization is probably very important to do. And I'm going to start looking into that, because I do know for a fact that if they are not following those federal regulations by the fucking book, they are not supposed to be getting that grant money, which is why they're doing all of this in the first place.
I'll send you the updated manual. I have it. He can watch it on Wicked Wise on YouTube.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Guys, her channel is incredible. So full of information. Definitely check it out. Another thing, gosh, I just lost my train of thought. It's been a really long day for me, guys. But no, what I was going to add on to that was, on top of their federal regulations that they have to follow, it's already in there that they have to look at family first, but they never do. So it was already a law that they had to place children with family or close relatives or friends, which they've been violating. So really this new law is just another leg up for parents to assert what should already be taking place to begin with. Am I correct?
Yes. Have you seen the budget that CPS and foster kinship got from Virginia?
I have not.
I can't remember if it's 300,000. I think that's too low. I want to say 300 million. I'll send it to you.
For what? Is that like all statewide in Virginia?
Yes. I got it.
There's a lot of buzz right now about repealing ASFA, the Adoption and Safe Families Act from the Clinton era. I was curious. Have you heard anything about that?
No, girl, but as soon as I get information, I am on it.
There are people trying. I was reading the article probably a few weeks ago here on this show. So if I find it, I'll send it your way as well.
Yeah.
Now, Tiffany, you did send me a couple of articles that I wanted to talk about today. But before we do that, so this new law that just got passed that you're telling us about, is it in effect right now in the state of Virginia, or does it still have like more steps to be approved?
Unless the governor has already signed it and I missed that, because I do miss some things. It had passed the House and the Senate, and it was on the governor's desk to be signed into law.
Okay. All right. Well, as soon as we get an update between Tiffany and myself, we will definitely let you guys know about this. So this is good for families in Virginia. I was talking previously about a bill in Arizona that was passed, HB 2675. It did pass the House. So the final ruling on the bill was edited a little bit. But I believe the final law in that one was that before a parent's rights are terminated, they have to, not they have the option to, they have to be given a jury trial. And I think that, you know, exercising our right to a trial by jury is incredibly important because it takes the authority away from the judges who make these life-changing decisions with absolute immunity without a second thought to the family that they're ripping apart. You know, so having, you know, like having that jury and getting it past all of them, like you're going to have somebody who's a father, a mother, you know, a child of someone. And that's going to be very powerful for us to have as parents. So if you're going through, even though this is not done, it needs to be done. We need to start doing it more. As soon as you find yourself in a CPS case, as soon as those proceedings begin, if you're working with an attorney, you have him right on that pleading, you know, defendant demands a trial by jury.
You know,
right
when
Otherwise, you waive your right to a jury trial.
Yeah, don't waive your rights. Oh no, you watch my video. When we went to court, I had to hire a lawyer too because they brought me in as a joiner. Well, I told my attorney, I said, if you don't represent me, I will be pleading the fifth. We get to court, she's talking to me, and she says, they want to charge you as the abuser. You know what I said to my lawyer? Jury trial. She said, shut the fuck up.
Did you get a jury trial?
No, because they don't want to take me to trial. They don't want that problem. I'm telling you. Because I already had the police reports, the doctor's reports. I had everything. They already looked stupid. They would have looked even worse.
Guys, I hope you're taking notes. I really do. And, you know, Tiffany has so much gusto. She is extremely assertive and she puts in that work. It's going to take work to beat these cases. You know, it shouldn't have to be like that. You know, if you're a good person and you didn't do anything wrong, you should be able to walk into the courtroom and let justice take its course. But that's not the kind of society that we live in anymore. Once you're in a case, I mean, they are going to fucking chew you up and spit you out unless you assert yourself. And unless you put in that work to make sure that you have everything you need. I know a lot of us parents who are going through these cases, we're targeted because we're low income, you know, lower education, and we don't have the resources to represent ourselves and protect ourselves from these fucking monsters. So, you know, you have to make up for it. If your kids are really the most important thing to you as a parent, then you have to put in that work. You don't take no for an answer. You learn your rights and you get everything you need to win that case.
That's right. And you don't back down. I don't care. You call me. Call me. Put me on the phone with the social worker. I'm telling you, they hate me.
I bet. But you know what? That's their problem.
That's right.
We are so grateful to have someone like you.
Thanks.
You are a blessing to parents everywhere.
Well, thanks.
Of course. So these articles, did you want me to read them?
Yeah,
I
girl.
have them posted on the page. So I had a producer, Grace, so amazing. She does awesome work. So she's posted them on the civil rights page. They are there for you to read right now if you want to follow along or if you want to go back later and read it. These were sent to me today by Tiffany. Did you want to tell us about them first before I read them?
No, go ahead, girl. You got this.
Okay. So here, this is all, they're both on law. Actually, this one is WFPL.org. Okay. So, and the other one is on Law 360. So the first one, the title is Senate Committee Greenlights Parents' Rights Bill. And before I go into this, I talked about this last show. I have seen so many states passing these parent bill of rights. or in these parents' rights bills. And it's getting a lot of momentum. And I think that, you know, sooner than later, and I'm hoping like really soon, all states are going to start following suit and start passing these parent bills of rights. And unfortunately, like, it's sad that we even have to have things like this passed. This domestic terrorism never should have taken place to begin with. But it's a good thing. We are getting closer and closer to addressing the root of this horrible issue. And hopefully, you know, we can do what we need to do, as a people to change what needs to be changed. So I'll go ahead and get into it. So the Kentucky Senate Judiciary Committee moved a bill forward Thursday, and this was posted February 3rd, 2022. So the Kentucky State Judiciary Committee moved a bill forward Thursday that would allow parents to sue if they believe the government is interfering in their parental rights. Oh, Tiffany, that's huge. Opponents worry it would make it harder for social workers to remove children from unsafe home environments. Gee, I wonder who the opponents are.
Exactly.
The bill, Senate Bill 40, is the latest attempt by Republican Senator Stephen West to pass the proposal. Similar legislation passed the State Senate Judiciary Committee in 2019 and 2020, but never received a vote on the Senate floor. West told the committee he's proposing the legislation because attempts across the country by states and others to delve into the area of parental rights. Although I don't see a lot of problems in Kentucky right now, there are a few problems, not a lot. This is really a preemptive attempt to stop things that may be coming along, he said. West did not further describe the problems he referenced, but in explaining the 2019 version of the bill, the Conservative Religious Family Foundation warned that just north of Kentucky, in Cincinnati, a liberal judge removed a 17-year-old girl from her parents because they were against a sex change operation that she wanted. In that 2018 case, a federal judge threw out a lawsuit filed by the parents who were trying to stop their trans teenage son from seeking hormone therapy. The judge ruled social workers acted appropriately when they supported a hospital's decision to hold the teen without consent from his parents while he sought treatment for gender dysphoria. West's bill declares parental rights protected under the United States Constitution and says that governmental bodies must show a compelling governmental interest for interfering in a parent's right to determine their child's care, custody, and control, as well as their education. Senator Karen Berg, a Louisville Democrat, was the sole no vote in the committee. She was concerned the legislation could discourage social workers from removing children from unsafe homes. They always leave a fucking loophole, some bullshit. Okay. Particularly in this state at this time, when we are dealing with the crisis of addiction and have so many children in states that need to be improved, I think this could have a chilling effect, and I'm worried about it, Berg said. Kentucky has had the nation's highest rate of child mistreatment for the last 3 years. Senator Danny Carroll, a Benton Republican, did not vote in the committee because he joined remotely, but he opposed the legislation over concerns it could deter adults outside of the family unit from intervening and providing care to children whose parents are uninvolved. The ACLU of Kentucky and the Fairness Campaign, a LGBTQ advocacy group, sent letters to the committee opposing the legislation, saying the bill could tie officials' hands in enforcing child abuse and other child welfare laws. The ACLU and the Fairness Campaign also say the bill could impede educational efforts. Depending on how various groups interpret this bill, it could result in families blocking curricula they find objectionable, including on the Holocaust, biblical influences in literature, or other historical items constituents may find uncomfortable. The bill comes at a time when states across the U.S. are banning or attempting to rein in discussions on systemic racism in schools on the grounds that such discussions cause discomfort for students or are forms of leftist indoctrination. Fueled by a conservative backlash against anti-racist curriculum in schools, Republican governors, state lawmakers, and members of Congress have recently pushed their own versions of a parental bill of rights, which would require schools to give families more access to and control over curriculum materials. Okay, now this article has a lot of shit packed into, I mean, I identified just in reading this just now several controversial issues that are, and they're all completely separate issues. So what the fuck does that have to do with having your kids ripped away from you illegally. You
See,
have
I
to bring
think what they
addiction,
do,
LGBTQ, and all this other shit. Really, they just don't want their hands tied from getting that fucking federal money, is what it is.
well, actually, Texas's governor said you are to report any parent that's trying to let their child have a sex change, and CPS is going to come and take them. So I'm watching that very closely too.
Wait, say that again? So are
Texas,
they anti-trans?
this governor in Texas says he will not allow parents to allow their children to change their sex if they're under the age of 18.
Meanwhile, in this article, the 17-year-old child was taken away because the parents didn't want the child to have a sex change. Listen, once upon a time, okay, my dad was extremely racist when he was raising us, and it was fucked up. And, you know, my views were a little bit twisted when I was younger, but I have come to accept the fact that, like, sex change is a thing now, okay? And as a future civil rights attorney, I have to represent the interests of all fucking people. I don't care if you're purple. I don't care if you're a man turned woman. I don't care if you're, I don't care. It doesn't matter. As long as you're a human being and you're my client, your rights matter, you know? And the fact that the government can't make up their mind, not that they should have any say on this to begin with, but the fact that they can't make up their mind, are you going to take the kids if they want a sex change, or are you going to take the kids because their parents won't let them have a sex change? Like, there's no regulation on this. Like, there's no checks and balances, you know? There's no order in any. This is just chaos. And you're creating chaos for these families because you can't get your shit together.
Well, they have no business.
I'm sorry for my colorful language today, guys. I normally don't cuss this much, but I've had quite the day. I've had quite a day.
Listen, the Constitution clearly says, okay, the government nor its agencies or agents have the right to infringe upon the people. Period.
Absolutely. Yet it's been happening, and it's getting worse and worse.
Because these people, right, these people, one,
know your rights.
That's right. These people, one, aren't trained properly, and that goes for the police. These people think that, now mind you, the president of the United States is not above the law, right?
But we saw that with Bill Clinton.
Right. But they think that they're above the law. And it takes advocates like me who are very aggressive and who will not put up with their bullshit, that will stand up to them. Oh, and trust me, they will retaliate. Don't think that they won't.
I was going to ask you, Tiffany, what is your advice to parents who, you know, maybe aren't as assertive as you are, but do try to stand up for themselves and push forward, and they do receive like some really awful retaliation? Do you have any advice for them if that happens?
The first thing is, don't ever sign a safety plan, okay? That's automatically going to piss them off. The second thing is, when you insert your rights, you do it outside of your home. Because here in Virginia, even with the removal order, they cannot enter your home and they can't get a warrant on a civil matter. If they retaliate, and they will, you wait for your day in court. You will get a lawyer. We all know some lawyers aren't worth shit, but you record everything. Whatever they give you, tell them I'll take it and I'll look it over. You don't have to do anything that they say to you. I don't care what they tell you. If they're going to take your kid. What?
Even all the services that they make all these parents do, the hoops they make them jump through.
They only do that because the more services that you take from them, the more money the government gives them. Virginia has
the illusion of preserving families.
Right. Virginia, and I'm going to send it to you, Amanda, has what they call a backdoor adoption. I just found this out yesterday. I am so appalled and I am so embarrassed to be living in Virginia with these backdoor laws. It's disgusting.
Do tell.
I can't pull it up, but I'm going to send it to you. It is where.
Give us like a generalization. I'm curious.
Okay, so there's a backdoor law in Virginia. Private adoption. The parents don't have to be around. The parents aren't even notified. They use it under the private adoption law. I wish I had pulled it up before I came on. It is absolutely disgusting. They don't need your consent. They can anybody can file this motion. Anybody. Anybody.
Relatives and friends of kids who have been taken into foster care, take note of that, because maybe we can use this law to our benefit.
I will send it to you when we're done, and then you can do your thing.
No worries. Do you want me to go into the second article?
Oh, yes. I really like this second one.
All right. So this is on the website Law 360. This was written by Marco Poggio on March 25th, 2022. So this just came out. So a new legal nonprofit will seek accountability in child welfare. I love the sound of that. That is music to my ears. All right. Going into law school, David Shellick Klein dreamed of becoming a criminal defense lawyer. But after taking part in the family defense clinic at New York University School of Law, he changed his mind. Defending parents in family court proceedings was his true calling, he said. Shellick Klein, now an attorney at the Bronx Defenders, said he was drawn into family defense practice by injustices and lack of due process families are confronted with in family court. The criminal justice system pales in comparison, he told Law 360. Even people who work in the criminal justice field are shocked when they see what happens in family court. Dysfunction, government abuse, and civil rights violations abound in the child welfare system, he said. This is an attorney, guys. This is a lawyer saying this. Yet public interest groups, legal nonprofits, and pro bono lawyers have traditionally focused on other areas: criminal justice, police accountability, or immigration. And I'm going to pause the article right there for a second. This is one thing that really fucking bothers me, and it bothers me a lot. This kidnapping of our kids by the government has been going on since the 80s. Like it really blew up in the 80s. And we're 2020s now. So it's been several decades. Not one fucking time. And I used to follow politics closely. Not once have I ever seen a president or a major politician address this very critical fucking issue. This is domestic terrorism against the most innocent members of our population who cannot stand up for themselves or protect themselves or speak up for themselves or even have a choice in these fucked up courts. And no one's addressing this. It's almost like they intentionally avoid the subject. The only major politician, and I will say her name every show, the only major politician that I have ever witnessed address this issue was Georgia State Senator Nancy Schaefer. She and her husband were fucking murdered, and they framed it as a murder-suicide.
Sad.
I mean, all this money going around, all this money that these states are getting, it's not that expensive to hire a hitman. It's really not. Just saying. So, and I think that on some level, you know, certain politicians are afraid to address this issue because they will face retaliation or blacklist.
They will.
But it shouldn't matter. See, this is a cause, guys, that I'm willing to die for. I don't care. As long as I accomplish something before you take me out, so be it. And I hope more people can have an attitude like that, because if enough of us start disappearing and ending up dead, then people are going to start to notice and people are going to fucking do something about it. We can't let these people get away with this, guys. Back to the article. Lawsuits brought in those areas have spurred meaningful change. For instance, a class action brought by the Center for Constitutional Rights helped curb the stop and frisk practice in New York City in 2013. One filed by the American Civil Liberties Union in 2018 led to an end of the Trump administration's child separation policy. But families embroiled in the child welfare and family regulation system, where they risk being separated from their own children, have been missing a champion. They sure have. They sure have. Shalek Klein says, an organization that launched this week in New York will seek to fill that void. Founded by Shalek Klein under the auspices of NYU's Family Defense Clinic professors, the Family Justice Law Center will provide legal aid to parents suing government agencies over child welfare actions that might violate constitutional rights. The organization will bring suits targeting aggressive practices by child welfare agencies, such as removing children from their families without court orders and entering and searching houses without permission. Other suits might tackle delays in family court that often cause children to languish in foster care. Pause, because they drag it out on purpose due to ASFA, because they want to get more money and they want to get those kids adopted to get more money. They drag these cases out on purpose. And like we were talking about before, these services, these bullshit services that they make you go through, it's not to help you. It's not to say, oh, do this, this, and this, and you get your kid back. No, it's not. They make you do it so they can drag out the case to keep your kid and hopefully terminate your rights.
That's the end game.
Whew. All right. The overall idea is to file affirmative suits, including class actions, to obtain damages for people harmed by the welfare system, but also to obtain injunctions and effect change. Guys, if you don't know what an injunction is, it is a court order to cease and desist and stop what you are doing. Oh, man, I wish these social workers had to put up with as much bullshit as our teachers have to put up with, as our police officers have to put up with. We need to start making more noise, and we need to hold these people accountable, period.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you think about it, and a lot of these, like, these parent bills of rights that they're passing in certain states, a lot of them are more focused on education, as though our teachers weren't overworked and underpaid enough already, you know?
Do you know why they do that, Amanda?
Why?
Because in the Supreme Court rulings, all of them that have already been ruled on, I don't even know why CPS is still trying. The Supreme Court of the United States already says that the parent has the fundamental right to the education first, right? Mm-hmm. Then the rest of it. So how they get these bills in, which is actually kind of smart, is they slip it in under the educational part. But if you notice, it says education, upbringing, all that, right? So the best way to get some of these bills through is through different cycles.
Okay.
Like child support
just went on. I see.
Do you know how they get around the interstate child support stuff? Transportation laws.
No way.
Yes way.
If
you want to learn about child support, look at the transportation laws.
I never would have thought to look there.
That's why they put it
child
there.
Support have virtually nothing to do with each other.
They use the transportation interstate laws for child support.
I'm going to have to look that up. Wow. That's really interesting. I'm excited. Okay, so back to the article. In a statement accompanying its launch, the new nonprofit bans itself as the first civil rights organization in America dedicated to suing children. Guys, this place is dedicated to suing children's services and other government agencies that illegally separate children from their parents. This is exciting. I'm getting hyped just reading this. Oh, wow. According to estimates by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, based on data collected during 2020, about 400,000 children are currently in government custody through the foster care system. About 45% of them are either Black or Latino, and 43% are white. And that's just the kids that are currently in foster care. They're not counting the ones in group homes or placed with like a relative or a family member, or, you know, like there's so many more children. The numbers are kind of skewed, and it's also not including the number of children whose rights have been terminated to their parents and have already been adopted out. you know? So the number is probably a lot higher than we see. And personally, I don't think that the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, which I despise them, I don't think that they are reporting the numbers accurately. I think that they are intentionally making it seem like there are less children in the system than there really are. There has to be more. Because I was looking at public data back in April last year on the number of children in my city alone, in the month of April. 35,000 children were taken into foster care. 35,000 children in one city. In 1 month. It's got to be higher than that.
It is higher than that.
The number of people that I talk to who have experienced a CPS case or know somebody that has, think about all the people in this country. That's a lot of people, you know? So to continue, sorry, I keep getting sidetracked, guys. In New York City, investigations of child neglect or abuse are concentrated in poorer neighborhoods, while a higher density of Black and Latino families. About 23% of children in the city are Black, but Black children make up about 56% of the children who are removed from their families and placed in foster care, according to data collected by New York City Administration for Children's Services during fiscal year 2019. Bob, wait. My dog's got to go outside. He can wait. But neglect often boils down to issues related to poverty, such as substandard housing, lack of childcare, malnutrition, and inadequate clothing, according to the group. This country defines neglect expansively, and we have built the most interventionist child welfare system in the world, Shalek Klein says. The child welfare system surveys, separates, and at times permanently severs family ties at unprecedented rates. Child welfare agencies' employees have emergency power they can use to remove children from their parents when they see a risk to the child's safety. Following the removal, an agency files a petition against the parents who are required to appear in family court for an intake, the equivalent to an arraignment in a criminal court. The agency often asks the court to place children in foster care. Other times, the agency works with the family and the court to find alternatives to foster care. For example, an adult who is alleged to be the person causing harm may be excluded from the home through an order of protection issued in family court, and the child is returned to the non-respondent parent. Other times, another caretaker, such as a relative or grandparent, could take temporary custody of the child, the Administration for Child Services said. According to the ACS data for 2021, in 83% of cases presented at the initial hearing following an emergency removal, the court temporarily placed the child in a foster family or another caretaker. But judges often sign off on emergency removals at those initial court dates because they're overburdened, only to end up reversing the orders at subsequent hearings after having more carefully considered the evidence, Shalek Klein said. And I'm going to pause again. This is another pet peeve of mine in court. These judges in these bullshit emergency hearings, first of all, you don't tell me for 1 second, as a judge, you are not aware of this issue, of these lying social workers and these BS emergency hearings, okay, that you intentionally exclude the parents from. Hello, due process. So the fact that you're a judge, and I know you are aware of this crisis, why are you not demanding that these social workers present a preponderance of keyword admissible evidence?
I'll tell you why.
I'm all ears.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Now listen, you know I know my stuff. Some things I knew, but I didn't want to believe. A social worker can lie. Well, we know they do. On the affidavit. Okay? And this is what happens.
But even if they lie, Tiffany, that's still not admissible evidence. Your testimony is fucking hearsay. It's hearsay.
Look, girl, did you forget who you're talking to? I know. Whatever, and this is another thing I'm working on here in Virginia, but first, whatever that CPS worker puts on that paperwork is written in stone. That's the judge's mentality. Wait a minute.
Right, but why? You know why? So why?
You think that money doesn't trickle down to the judges? So this is one of the things that I'm trying to work on here in Virginia too. My exact words to this lawmaker was, you can't rebut an affidavit when you have no idea that there's an affidavit out there. They don't give you an affidavit. They don't show you anything. It's hard enough for some lawyers to get your cases, even under the Freedom of Information Act, and they know that they're representing you. They did that to my daughter. They refused to give the file to her lawyer for her appeal, and he had to reschedule it. And after I got the 300-page file, I know exactly why they did that. These people violated my daughter's rights so bad, telling her landlord before anybody went to court, oh yeah, we're doing an investigation on her for child abuse. And now we haven't gone to court, and there will be a finding of abuse and neglect on your tenant.
First of all, why are they talking to her landlord? What does he have to do with the case? Second of all,
tried to get the state police and the town police in another state, because Virginia wouldn't issue a search warrant for my house. I got it all in writing.
These people are sick. These people are fucking sick. They are sick in the head. They are sick souls.
Thank God.
I despise them.
Amanda, thank God these cops had enough sense to say, oh, whoa, we can't get a warrant. It's a civil matter, but we'll go do a welfare check on them.
At the same time, though, Tiffany, if you hadn't stood up for yourself and your rights and had been as educated as you are, they wouldn't have treated you that way. They would have walked all over you.
Well, the funny thing is, Amanda, when they pulled up to my house, they thought my daughter lived here. You should have seen her face when I came around that corner in my nightgown and she saw me. She almost lost her shit.
And she had already seen you before in the hospital, right?
Yeah, I told her we don't consent and invoked our right.
She knew you was not the one. I ain't the one, honey.
That's why she brought 12 police officers, but they got schooled too.
I think I remember seeing the part where you're talking with the sergeant on your porch.
Yep.
Now,
they all need a lesson.
Were you ever able to hear what those officers were saying that turned off their audio?
I heard some from the other ones, like the CPS worker was like, well, when she said she was going to call her advocate, I was like, well, is this your lawyer? Who is this?
It's not your fucking business.
Exactly. I'm her parent advocate, and I came. And then the other cop was like, talking to the CPS worker, he was like, well, if she's the mother and the grandmother, how can she be an advocate? And what does the organization that she said have to do with anything? Hello? I sit on their criminal justice board. Listen, the director of CPS here knows I'm a parent advocate. She was told by my daughter's lawyer 3 times, and she said the 3rd time, duly noted.
That's a nice way of saying, I heard you, bitch.
That's right.
Loud and clear.
That's right. And that what you're reading, that article, the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be trying to get in touch with these people, because I believe that we need an organization like them in every state.
Absolutely. 100% we do. 100%.
I'm going to be talking to them, hopefully.
I commend this lawyer, whoever this person is. I just might reach out to him.
Yeah.
I am so happy and proud to see a lawyer doing something like this. I despise the fact that these politicians are secretly turning a blind eye and even going so far as to hushing others who are trying to address these issues. If you're a politician and you are not addressing the crisis of this CPS bullshit that is happening in our country right now, I don't want to hear a fucking word you have to say. I don't care about taxes. I don't care about any of that. We need to help save our kids. We need to help save our families. Parents are committing suicide. They're developing like literal diseases from the stress that they are being put through. I can't even imagine what this next generation of children is going to grow up to be like. I mean, we saw what happened with the crack babies in the 80s because they're all social workers now. Yeah. Just saying. I fucking said it, okay? I said it. Just saying. Just saying. Those people are sick. Mental health wasn't really a thing back then. That's when social welfare organizations really started booming. And they realized, oh, if we traffic our children in this country, we can make money. Disgusting. Disgusting. And who ran after those jobs?
The bullies.
Mentally ill people who never got the help they needed from growing up in their own abusive families and who now have absolute control over people's lives, children's futures. It's
If you ask some attorneys that clearly do not like CPS, they will tell you that they were bullied in school, they're high school dropouts, and now they took a job where they feel empowered until they run up on people like you, Miss Wise. That's what I was told. And then knock them back down, and then they just come back, and you're just standing there. Yeah, because I'm the parent advocate that's not having it.
We need to be angry about this. We need to be angry.
Amanda, just think about this. I think about this every night. If every parent, now I know not everybody's like me, I get it, trust me. Every parent, every grandparent, aunt, uncle, cousin, we all stood up and said, we're not taking this shit anymore. CPS would lose their shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't say that I haven't fantasized about that. Just tearing down the social welfare, just all of them. I can't say what I want to say because I'm live. I don't want the police at my door.
Yeah, right. I get it. Trust me.
She's trying to incite a riot. She just made a threat. No, I didn't. I didn't say anything.
And that's why I watch what I say, because they already think that I'm a controversial person.
Oh, the case parties have already said in open court, that they watch the show, but they always twist it around. They always twist it around and make it sound like I'm blowing up my case and defrauding, blah blah blah. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But you were saying, let me finish this article really quick.
Go ahead.
We're about out of time. We'll just do the full hour. We started a little bit late, so
that's fine.
We get everything covered. So overall, a significant portion of emergency removals are legally dubious and are a potential liability for ACS, he said. When it is happening illegally, that creates incredible harm and trauma to the family. Thank you, God, that this person is addressing this. Yes, say it louder for the people in the back. And it's part of what we plan on litigating in court. In 10% of emergency removals in 2021, the court returned the child to the parent involved in the allegation of neglect or abuse, with court-ordered supervision and other protective orders in place at the initial hearing, ACS said. A spokesperson for ACS told Law 360 in an email that the agency is committed to being responsive to the needs of children and families, and said its policies in the past 5 years have contributed to a 36% reduction in the number of children entering foster care, which is now at its all-time low of 7,111 children. We are continuing to develop new ways in partnership with government and community organizations to keep children safely at home while carrying out our legal responsibility to keep New York City children safe, the spokesperson said. ACS said in the vast majority of its investigations, children are not removed from their homes. Fewer than 2% of child protective investigations in 2021 had emergency removal, the agency said. Bullshit.
Exactly.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
A report featured in the Journal of Law and Social Change of the University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School shows that even a short-term removal from parents can inflict long-lasting harm on children. Removal strips the child of his connection to his birth parents, his siblings, his extended family, his friends, and often his school. It abruptly disrupts his attachment to his primary caregiver, and it thrusts the child into a foreign system, foster care, the report says. The experience of removal and placement in foster care traumatizes children in complex ways. Martin Guggenheim, That's a funny name. The co-director of NYU's Family Defense Clinic and one of the academics on the Family Justice Law Center's advisory board called family separation the most pressing, yet most underfunded and misunderstood civil rights issue of our time. Under the guise of helping the child, under the guise, okay, like for anybody who doesn't know what guise means, that's like under the pretending of helping, the child welfare system terrorizes and destroys families in poor communities of color, Guggenheim said in a statement. I'm going to read that again. Under the guise of helping, the child welfare system terrorizes and destroys families in poor communities of color. Many Americans were shocked to learn about the Trump administration's policy of separating unauthorized immigrant children. Now, this is something that pissed me off too. From their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border, he said. To lawyers like Charlotte Klein, that shock has become routine. The deep, heart-wrenching pleas of children to be returned to their parents were nothing new to families affected by the child welfare system or to those of us who fight in family court on behalf of parents who prevent the removal of their children, he said. We saw those types of unnecessary removals and the screams that come with them frequently in our own city, New York. Guys, I can't, like, this makes me want to cry. I cannot tell you how many times in my supervised visits my children made disclosures of abuse. And the facilitator, because they had to watch me through a mirror, a therapist had to watch me through a mirror, and my visits had to be audio and video recorded. I cannot tell you how many times the person observing what was going on contacted the city and contacted CPS, and they immediately shut the door on the mandated report because they didn't like me. I cannot tell you how many times throughout this entire process, my children have begged everyone to come back home to me. I have not heard from my children or seen them in almost a year. And every fucking day, I get more and more pissed. And I really hope they understand. I don't take no for an answer. And every day that I go without seeing my kids is one more day of hell that they're going to face one day. Period. I can't wait to get my bar license, let me tell you, because every fucking social worker that I see corrupting a case will be dragged into federal court. Just saying.
You go, girl.
I hope I can be a good enough attorney one day that when these pieces of shit see me walk into the courtroom, they start shaking in their boots. I hope they know that when they see my face, no child will be taken today, and they will be held accountable for the illegal things that they are doing.
And Amanda, that's why I told you, because we're friends outside of all this. We need more attorneys, younger, another generation that's not having this shit, who has been through the system. Girl, I'm too old to be taking the bar. I'm telling you right now. I know all that. You know, I'm just too old. I ain't got the energy. But
so
that's why we need you.
White men running this country, dragging it into the ground.
Exactly.
Hello, sir. Time for you to retire.
Exactly.
Well, back to the article. So emergency removals, which present possible violations of due process under the 5th and 14th Amendments, represent only a portion of the cases in which the Family Justice Law Center would bring suits, according to Charlotte Klein. Cases in which child welfare agencies' employees enter people's homes without judicial approval, potentially in violation of the 4th Amendment rights, are another area where the nonprofit expects to be active. Tacked on to constitutional claims are state law-based claims and torts, such as infliction of trauma and emotional distress. Yes, we need to address that too. There have been points in my case where I almost did not survive because of the pain that I was going through. I still struggle to make it through, like, the emotional episodes that come with having your flesh and blood, your life ripped away from you. And this is 100% something that needs to be addressed, because these parents and these children will be dealing with this for the rest of their life. They will never be the same again. They could develop autoimmune diseases and other physical and mental ailments because of the hell that this kidnapping causes to the parents, but even more so the children. And if they're so, excited or whatever, I can't even think of the word. If they're so dedicated to the best interests of the children, why is no one talking about the psychological, you know, issues that stem from these children being taken from their families, you know?
And Amanda, my case is 30 years old, and I still deal with it every day.
You'll never get that time back. Your
Nope.
children will never get that time back. The family unit, I still firmly believe, is the most important unit in society. It is what builds us to be the individuals that we need to be within society one day. The responsible adults, the good, upstanding citizens that we have a responsibility to be. That creates such a huge issue in that particular factor of these children as they become adults, because it's the relationships that you have with your parents, most importantly your parents. I mean, that's like the first line of how a child learns responsibility and accountability, learns how to love, learns how to receive love, you know, learns how to interact, you know, with other human beings. The first experience they ever have in their life learning all of these crucial things is through their parents. And when you destroy that, when you fucking destroy that the way they're doing, it's going to create so many problems in our society. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about when these people hit 20s, 30s, 40s, when they start to assimilate and you know, find their career, take these jobs, they're going to be carrying that trauma into the work that they do. And either they're going to continue the cycle, or, you know, they're going to be part of the help that changes it. But oftentimes, as we've seen with the babies of the 80s, they take that trauma into their work, and it how do I describe this? It poses a threat to society. They become a threat to society because they end up in some way hurting people through the work that they do because of the trauma that they experienced that they never got help for. That's just my opinion.
It's the truth, though.
Well, hopefully it gets worse, but it'll get better. Okay, so we're almost done with the article. All right. Shella Klein said only 1% of investigations in which ACS enters homes are backed by court orders. Christine Gottlieb, who co-directs NYU's Family Defense Clinic, as is another member of the Family Justice Law Center's advisory board, told Law 360 that the creation of the nonprofit fits within a broader movement that seeks to change the way government agencies protect children and interact with families. The whole system is not accomplishing what it's supposed to. It's hurting families more than helping them, she said. Gottlieb said temporary family separations are sometimes necessary, but the government agencies are resorting to that practice as routine and without judicial oversight. What the Family Justice Law Center is doing is talking about process, she said. The most horrible thing a government can do is separate a child from a parent. It doesn't mean it never has to happen, but it means that it should only happen when it's absolutely required. And that's the end of the article. So, guys, the articles are both posted on the page. We do have a few more minutes. Tiffany, I want to hear your thoughts.
Girl, I got so many thoughts.
Let's hear them.
Well, first of all, when I saw that article this morning, you would have thought that I was standing on coals. I was in my living room dancing. My dog was like, "What's going on?" My grandson was like, "Yay!" He don't even know. So I really hope that I can get in contact with these people through some of the organizations that I work with, because I truly believe that these people can help all across the United States. And if these social workers and these supervisors and all these people, these foster care, I hope once lawsuits start coming, right? Because we don't want to burn America down, but we want justice.
Absolutely.
We want accountability.
Absolutely.
At this point, we want every case. I know this is not going to happen. We want every case of a parent's rights that were terminated. I would like to see a special investigator look at these cases and find the evidence
That would
that
be
these people use.
incredible. That would be incredible.
Girl, when I get on a mission, I'll find some. I'm telling you, I'm on it.
Yeah. I can only hope and pray. Well, I mean, I don't pray anymore, but I can only hope that we do make some real change and that we can end this soon. This has to stop. This has to fucking stop. It has to. For the sake of our future, collectively, our future. This has to stop. And Amber says, I know what you're saying. I've had 3 newborns taken from me after being forced to adopt my older girls for their safety from foster homes, being vulnerable as a new widow of suicide. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that you had to experience that.
Yeah, me too.
I was a child support specialist, and I know courts was legal documents assistant.
Oh, we might have to be in touch with her.
Yeah, she might have some. Are you willing to be a whistleblower? I was going through too much tragedy at once. Death by both of my parents and houses burning, campfire. Oh my gosh, Amber, I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. Oh, that's horrible.
That is.
Oh my God.
Please reach out to us.
Yeah.
Well, we're about out of time today. Do you have any last thoughts that you would like to share, Tiffany?
I just want everybody to hang tight, stand up, don't give up, and always remember there's going to be better days coming.
Let's hope so. I certainly hope so. Because I don't know how much longer I can go through this. It's just heartbreak after heartbreak, court date after court date. And I wish I would have gone into law school sooner. That's the only regret that I have.
Everything comes in time.
Yeah. It's hard work. It's a lot of hard work. I'm actually kind of behind in my classes right now. I'm very, very stressed out, to be honest. But definitely not going to give up. So, Tiffany, before we go, tell us about your channel, about your show. When do you have shows?
Well, because I got my 3-year-old running around, I don't do shows all the time. I try and do them every Sunday while he's asleep. But my show is educational. I started with my videos because for me, I watch them all the time and I always see and hear different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I want people to watch them and understand that, I understand that you're not like me, but you can insert your rights and they know what you're saying and they will leave. They will come back, but they will leave. So
one thing you can't do, parents, don't ever try to run. Do not ever try to run.
Yeah, don't do that.
We should have the right to escape this domestic terrorism and protect our children, as it is our fundamental right to do so. However, the ramifications of trying to run away from a CPS case, even if it hasn't even officially started yet, are so much worse. You got it. If you are unlucky enough to have to be involved with these pieces of shit and this fucked up, corrupt ass court system, you have no choice but to lace up your bootstraps and start fighting and just fight as hard as you can. You cannot run.
That's right. Educate yourself. You are your best advocate. I mean, I'm a good advocate. Amanda's a good advocate, but you are your best advocate. You know your child better than anyone.
Yeah. And that is your child. You are that child's parent. And nobody can ever take that away from you. So please don't forget. And guys, again, I apologize for my colorful language today. I'm tired, man. I need a vacation.
Me too.
But that's nowhere close, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, this too shall pass. Just remember that. And guys, tune in to my next show coming up will be Fight CPS, the Civil Rights Struggle. That's Thursdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time. That's 10 p.m. Eastern time. And then we have our new Friday show, Fight With Me Fridays. We're talking about, dealing with trauma, like the trauma of having a CPS case and being separated from your child. And we're going to learn, coping skills and address other mental health things that come with being in a CPS case, which is something that I can talk about all day long. Because I'm like the poster child for that, apparently. So that's going to be at 6 a.m. Pacific time. So that'll be 9 a.m. Eastern time. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany, for coming on today. I appreciate all of the valuable information that you have given us and all of us other parents out here.
Not a problem.
I am hugely admirable of all the work that you're doing. I have so much respect for you. I wish I could be an advocate like you, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
I do what I can, where I can, when I can, how I can.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah. I'll be able to dedicate more one day, but I've got to get myself out of this grave that's been dug for me. And that's proving to be a lot more difficult than I ever would have thought. So, but I'll get there.
Yes, she will.
But thank you again, Tiffany. You are amazing. You are amazing. I have so much to learn from you, and so do the rest of us. So anytime that you would like to be on, I would love to have you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining CPS Current Events. And just keep your head up. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.